How about Julie Davis, would you like to lead us in the pledge today?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. All right. So what we are going to do, we're going to open it up for public comments in a second here, but I thought because we've all been other places today, we would run through the process real quick to make sure we're all on the same page, and then we'll open it up for public comments because potentially there'd be questions and public comments on how we're doing this. That was my thinking. So I will start out and then chime in on the plan. So, okay, so we have 27 community members that expressed interest in serving on the Board of Education, which is fantastic. So we are all, I'm speaking on behalf of all of us, we're very grateful for that somebody wants to join our team because we're a good team. So I'm very happy about that. What we have done is all of the applications came in and they were due by 4 p.m. on Friday. And I went over on Friday with Val, and she had gone through and verified that all the people on the list live in the district and meet all the criteria. At that time, all 27 people received electronic communication from Val letting them know about what we're doing this week. So they all have received, and some have responded back acknowledging, but they all received information that we were having this open meeting today, and then we will be doing interviews on Thursday. So that is how everything happened on Friday. I want to go back a tiny bit before that, and then maybe you could chime in on this and how we came up with this process, that we didn't make this up. I've been a participant at least one time on the board where we've filled a board vacancy before. And we always have, when I've done this, we've always had interviews with the candidates. And we were doing that again this time, just like we have before. So that is great. There's some flexibility in how we actually would select someone, but regardless of that, there are a lot of requirements on how we do it, like in open meetings and all of those things. The one other thing, and then you could chime in on this, is the other day, and this might be helpful for everybody here, I listened to not the most recent podcast, but the podcast before from MASB, and Brad Banasic was on there, and he was talking about school board elections and, in fact, filling open positions on school boards. And it was really interesting to listen to as I was driving along. He is a resource that we, by way of Val, use on a regular basis to make sure that we're always doing things the right way, the best way for our community. And it was just very interesting that literally I'm listening to that after we put all this in place last week. And the reason I'm sharing that publicly is one thing that was interesting in the podcast was it was how, recommendations on how to do this and flexibility. But the other thing is that for people who are interested in running for the school board, MASB is going to have more than one training, town hall, what's it like to be on a school board, board 101 type of information. I think it was April, but anyway, I'll try to make sure that we get that information out to, first of all 27 of these people, regardless, so they understand some resources that are out there on what it's like to be on a school board and how to run for a school board. Brad has been a huge help to us with things that we do. So anyway, I'm not excited. Obviously, I wish we always had an intact board, but I'm very looking forward to meeting some of our community members. The one other thing I'll mention is that we were not able to discuss amongst ourselves any of the information in these. We were provided electronic copies so we could look over the weekend, or I actually did it last night because I did not want to be at risk of saying, this person or that person. I looked at all of these last night after the board meeting to make my decisions on who I thought we could move ahead with. Do you want to add anything into about the process and requirements?
The requirements are when there's a board vacancy that we have 30 calendar days, the board does, to fill the vacancy, and that takes us actually to next Tuesday, so we've got a little bit of extra time in there in this process, but it moves right along. And the other thing is when the board is filling a seat, it depends on when the next regular election occurs and the length of term of the office of the vacated seat. So this particular seat, regular term of office would be up in 2024. So in the case of an appointment, the appointment goes from when the board votes to appoint an individual to the seat and that person accepts that appointment and takes the oath of office until, in this case, not the end of the term in November 2024, but until such time as the next regular election, which will be November of 2022, until that election is certified. So once that election is certified, the person who's appointed to this seat, that appointment would end at that point in time. And this particular remaining 2 years of this seat from the date of the November election certification until December 31st, 2024, that would be the term of office that this seat would be listed as under the November ballot. And whoever's the top vote getter under that November ballot it's essentially a 2-year term, would fill that seat beginning from the certification date of the November election through December 31st of 2024. It's a little bit different than when a board member fills out their entire term, and in that case, their date would end on December 31st of the year of that November election.
You should be on a podcast. That was really good. So the other thing I think maybe to add too is just for complexity's sake is on the ballot this year, that means there will be open positions for 3 open positions for 6-year terms and 1 position. So that is really important to know for people that choose to run. Do you want to explain that a little bit?
The filing would be for the 3 positions that are up in the regular cycle, the 6-year terms, and then there would be a separate spot on the ballot for the 1 position for the remaining essentially 2-year term.
Okay. Yep. All right. So hopefully that is helpful for all of us because we've all had to make sure that we had all of that straight, and for the community to understand that this is the 2-year portion position that we're filling right now. So with that, I think that the other thing I wanted to do is explain what we'll do is we put together a rubric as one tool for all of us to work from. This is not the law, the rule, the policy. This was just a tool. Like how am I going to sift through 27 people that love Forest Hills and want to be part of the board? So we put together a tool that we could use to say, how can I pull up 5, 6 of these that I think these would be great people that I would like to have participate in the interview process. Because for any of us who have done any hiring, you get a bunch of candidates, you have to figure out, okay, who am I actually going to be able to have the time to talk with and move forward in an expeditious manner. So we put a rubric together as one resource. So with that in mind, what we'll do after public comments is we're going to go around and we'll first say, okay, Maggie, we'll just informally go around the table and say, okay, who were the top 5 or 6 people that came up to the top of your criteria that you think would be a good fit for us to work with. Val is going to put a little tally mark in her spreadsheet and say, okay, these are 5 or 6 that Maggie would like to talk to, 5 or 6 Kristen, and we'll all go around and do that. And then Val, you are going to say, okay, well, of this, it looks like these are the people that have come to the top of the list. And then we will go back. I'm looking at Maggie. I guess I could start on this side. So then I would go over to Maggie and say, okay, Maggie, of those people, like to hear your thoughts on those people that are at the top of the list and anybody else that maybe wasn't didn't bubble right into that 5, that, reasons that you think we should interview them and, whatever you want to share and how you came about your decision. And I will be really quiet and I will listen. And then Kristen and we'll all take our turns to say that. And then it'll just be an organic discussion from that point forward. Our goal is to then come up with, I'm saying 5 or 6, and I know that we're going to end up with 8, but I'm saying that we're aiming for 5 or 6 because we're going to try to do interviews on Thursday with no more than 8 people. That's a great number of people, and also respectful of the time of all those people and whatnot. So we're going to start with our 5 to 6, knowing that we're going to end up with 8 because that's just what we'll do. So I think that is the process. What have I missed in our planning that we did last week? Okay. All right. So with that, I would love to open it up for public comments. And I know there might be other things, but it would be so great if any public comments could actually be about this topic today. I would love, we can't restrict what people want to share in public comments, but it would be really awesome if it could be on the topic of filling the board seat. So it would be related to what the topic is today. We'd love to have you come to other meetings, but if that's my one request. So with that, if anybody has public comments, please come up, state your name, and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Joe. I live in Ada. And I have one question that I know you're not going to answer, but I'd like for you to just make note of what I'm saying. I am a retired senior vice president of human resources. I've hired, I've terminated, and I've written protocol for both for an international industry. So my questions or bullet points to you that I'm going to ask for is, can you please let us know the bullet points and the criteria that you're using to make your selections, whether it's a selection to dismiss, no, this is not a good candidate, or to include, this is a person of value that we would like to talk to. That's all. That's a basic fundamental of hiring that I haven't heard you bring out yet. So that's all.
Okay, perfect. Anyone else?
And publish that criteria.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Okay.
I would just offer this up since there's several members at the table where we haven't had the opportunity to go through a board appointment process. I've had the opportunity to go through several of these, and also lots of hiring as well, lots of hiring. And again, one of the things that I've found that I would just offer up, and it's the board's decision and individual members as well, it's just talking about, what do you see that really excites you? Who do you see and things that you see there that is really speaking to you? And then also, even to the comment that we just heard, maybe a little bit, why does that speak to you in some way? And just to get that conversation going. So this is really a process that is based much more on dialogue at this point, as we're trying to go through and understand lots of things that are on paper in front of us at this point in time, but based on what people submitted, things that are that speak to you, that are exciting to you, that could be a important addition to the board as we currently have this group right now.
Good. Okay. All right. Well, it's almost like that was set up perfectly there for me. So some of the criteria that we put out for consideration, one of which was what are some of the skills or experiences that will enhance the composition of our board? And I wouldn't say, well, we even talked about this, is we would never say, we want a nurse on the board, and then all of a sudden somebody comes and they're not a nurse, and they say, well, you said you needed a nurse. So this is more of the category of what are the skills or experiences that will enhance the composition of the board. And I don't look at this solely from the idea of who could serve on the board from now until November. The idea is, I'm assuming that if people are willing to put their name in here, they want to be here for a bit of time, and we're going to have changing roles and everything that are on the board. And if they choose to run and stay on the board, that they enhance the composition of who is here or who will be here in the future. Secondly, we always are looking for some evidence of service or involvement in the community. And that is so great to read through here, looking at the different activities that the 27 participants have had in the community. So some evidence that they know about, have volunteered in, somehow been engaged with the school district in some way, shape, or form. Were we able to see that here? Then the other thing, and I think this gets to what you were talking about, was there something in the cover letter that there was a compelling reason to serve for the board seat? What was it that came out in their letter and / resume that seemed like there's was a compelling reason when they said, I would like to serve in this position? And then the other thing is experience with board service. And this is particularly broad in nature, depending on how any of us would interpret that. It could be they've served on a corporate board of a multinational corporation and live in our community, or they've served on a PTO and they understand the idea of governance and the concept of you are in an oversight position, you're not actually running the school, you're not in the daily operations piece of it. So having had some experience in a position when you've been a volunteer, but also when you've been in some board capacity, that was another thing for us to look at. So again, these are key criteria for consideration that we put out there. I know I know Mary very well, so I know other things that I just know from her that are going to be important to her for the future of the district. So one other thing that we did have based on Val's research is you were able to let us know what attendance area, because that might be interesting for some people, if what attendance area they're in, things like that. So with that in mind, are you ready for your spreadsheet, Val? Okay. All right, so I will start with Maggie, and if you could give your top, just the names, and then we'll come back around for some commentary.
Okay, so really just the top 5.
Let's start with that.
Okay.
We're gonna see how it goes.
Okay.
Yeah, 5 or 6. See, she's already, yes. Let's start with 5 or 6, yeah. Yeah, I know, that's why I started over here.
Okay. All right, my top 5-ish are Sulari White. Just looking at my numbers here, hold on. And Jose Reyna. Daniel Vandermolen, Jackie Nickel, Steve Petros. Was that 5? Was that 5, Val?
Yeah. You can, do you have one more, or do you have like 9 more?
No, I do not have 9 more.
Okay.
I have 3 more that I think should be on the table.
Maybe the other people.
I'll wait.
Hang on, and we'll
Go
come
ahead.
back around. We'll
Yep,
do
that's
another
fine.
round.
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay. Oh. All right. This is really difficult.
Yeah.
It was really very humbling to read all of the information. So I guess the ones that were on the top of my list in no particular order were Nadeem Hamid, Lily Langan, Jose Reyna, Sulari White, and Kristen Vanderzowen. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Zowen, something like that.
Excellent. Mrs. Covell?
Well, don't you go next in order?
No, go ahead.
Okay. You're the resident. All right. So I have Sulari White, Daniel Vandermolen, Jose Reyna, Stephen Petros, Lily Langdon.
Is it one more?
I've
Yeah,
got a whole lot of ties.
Yeah.
A whole lot of ties.
Was that 5 or was that 6? You can put one out.
I would just like to put out
Yep.
CJ Michelle as well. So add CJ, please.
Oh, man.
I went too fast.
Okay.
So let me tell you who I have. I have Lily Langan, Christopher Mashad, Steve Petros, Jose Reyna, Sulari White.
And Daniel Vandermolen.
Thank you.
Mrs. Vonk.
Mine would be Nick Griffian, Nadeem Hamid, Christopher Mashad, Jackie Nickel, Michelle Schellenberg.
You-
Oh, I'm horrible at that.
Yeah.
Will you tell me who I said? Since I've 10 on my list.
Nadine Hamid,
Nadine Hamid,
Nicholas Graffion,
Nicholas Griffian,
Christopher Mashad,
Christopher Mashad,
Jackie Nickel,
Jackie Nickel,
Michelle Schellenberg.
Michelle Schellenberg. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay. Jose Reyna, Jackie Nickel, Daniel Vandermolen, Sulari White, Christopher Mashad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5. Okay. Got it? All right. So I could see a cluster without that, but I think we've got a top group there. So let's go back around before we discuss those, but now open up on other people that you want to make sure that are on the list, and then talk us through a little bit about how you got here.
About my extras or my
Well, if you
first
want to put
5?
more people on, or,
Yeah, I mean,
or
I would-
how you did this.
I would say that I would want Michelle Schellenberg on my list as well. And I have 2 more, but are we really sticking firm with?
No, but just, and yeah, but you
Okay,
could put,
and then I think Robert Cribbs and David Couch.
okay.
And as far as how I got to these numbers, so in terms of the skills or experiences, I always am interested in someone that, yes, has a broad variety of skill sets, but I also appreciate when that is accompanied by some level of knowledge of education as well. They've worked in an educational realm in some way, whether that was in volunteering or on a board or in some kind of, their job was connected to education in some way. So that is important to me. I think that most of these people said that they had children in the district, and so I think that shows just a very baseline involvement with the schools. But I also was interested to see that they had done more than just had kids in the district, but volunteered in some way, coached, PTO service, Girl Scouts. I mean, just there's a wide variety of things that people could do. So I was interested to see that they had mentioned that level of involvement too. And then in terms of a compelling reason for seeking a board seat, I wanted to see that people were forward thinkers, that they had a real passion for the district, just because of the experience that they had had with it that was positive, that they could speak to some of the things that had benefited their own children in the district, that they would like to see continued. And then experience with board service. There's so many different kinds of boards that people have served on or that could serve on. And while I think that's important, I don't think that's the end-all be-all. I think there's people on this board that didn't have experience with board service before they got on. So
But we've got it now.
what? Yeah, but I don't think that that should be a reason to be or not be on a board.
Good. All right. Kristen?
Yeah, I have a feeling we're all going to say somewhat similar things to what Maggie just said. You know, having a rubric to go off of those 4 elements to look at, I thought was very helpful because I was able to look at it and go, all right, I know nothing about almost all of these people. And so what are they presenting to me and how can I fairly judge that against each other, you know, as opposed to, oh, well, I like the way they write better than the way, you know, that's not going to be helpful. So the rubric I thought was very helpful in going through and trying to help focus what I was looking for. And yeah, and just like Maggie said, like all of the things she said, I would echo. I think one exception that I might have put a little bit more weight on the experience with board service, just because it's a very short term that we're looking at here for this person. So having some experience of what it's like to be on a board. I mean, I've been here for just over a year, and there is a lot to learn, and this position doesn't have a lot of time. So I thought that having experience being on a board and knowing what a board does, how a board functions, what their role is, would be particularly helpful. So that was something that I focused on a lot. Not to the exclusion of other things, but that was something that I thought was kind of important to have in this particular case. But yeah, otherwise, I'm amazed at the number of ways people were involved in the district or in the greater Forest Hills or Grand Rapids community. Some people had very compelling reasons for why they were seeking a board seat that I thought, they were able to articulate very well and very clearly, which I appreciated. And yeah, it's always nice to be able to look for some skills and experience that help add to what we have on the board, to get other points of view, other perspectives. So I think the candidates that are coming forward, and we do seem to have a little bit of agreement on several of them. I think that shows that we're all sort of looking for the same kind of thing.
Wonderful. Mrs. Covell, tell us a little bit more about your selections and if there's anybody else that you thought we should stick on our discussion here.
Probably do this, right?
Yeah.
All right, well, I found this really interesting. I was nervous coming in here thinking, well, did I interpret the statements on the rubric the same way that other people on the board had? And for example, when it says evidence of service to or involvement with our schools and community, I really did want to focus on our community being the Forest Hills District, specifically this area. So that was something that did influence my decisions, because there were people with incredible experience that they could bring to the board, but not necessarily the connection to the district itself. So considering again that this is a very short term for a board seat, to me, I found that the board service, experience with board service definitely had more weight when I was considering this as well. But as Maggie, or was it Kristen, had pointed out, we have people on this board who had very little board service before being on the board as well. So what really drew my attention were skills or experiences that would enhance the composition of the board. In my feelings, the board needs to be made up of diverse voices. Different backgrounds, experiences, jobs, etc. I'd like to see the gamut on a board so that we could really have all of these different skills, experiences, jobs, credentials to draw on to help us make decisions. And so, yes, board experience was important, but also for me, skills or experiences that enhance the composition of the board was probably most important. And I found the compelling reasons for seeking a board seat definitely, I went over it more than once, and I had so many ties on my objective rubric that I had to really consider, why does somebody want to be on this board? And again, what do they bring to enhance the composition? So ironically, being a teacher myself, though, I didn't feel like connection to education was as important to me. I felt like we have that kind of covered on this board. So for me, I was really looking for, what do people have that we don't have? And hopefully some board experience behind it to add to this very short term.
Okay. Mrs. Vonk.
Mrs. Covell set me up nicely because, yes, in my opinion, the idea of experience and skill set is to make sure we can be good decision makers, make sure we see things from different perspectives. And Doug Josephson came on the board with me when the dinosaurs roamed the planet, and he stood at an event one time and he said, what do a physician, engineer, realtor, financial manager, pharmacist, accountant, and attorney have in common? And I was dumbfounded, and he said, that is our board. And that was pretty cool, because that is a very different set of minds, experiences, ways of looking at things to come together and process how decisions are made. So that's one reason I really like to see us have a diverse skill set. But we also have a superintendent whose vision we embrace, which is to rethink and customize and create 21st century learning and skills. And we can't do that unless we know how that 21st century learning looks across the gamut of professions and experiences out in the workplace. So that is why I was looking for something that is really very different from maybe what we currently have at the table. That was probably my priority as well. When I look at experiences in the district and community, to me, I want to make sure these people know our culture. What is it like to walk our hallways, and what is really going on? So when somebody speaks to you, can you relate to it, or are you being told something and you just have to make decisions based on what you hear versus what you also understand? So I am always grateful for community members that come in, having experience in the district and interacting with other people in their hallways and whatnot. So those are probably the two things I look to hope we bring a group together that can do right by the district.
Okay. All right. I will echo a lot of the comments that all played into my decision criteria. I definitely looked at the, and this is not in order of importance, but I did look at the board service piece of it. I definitely think that 2-year piece probably plays into that, is being able to get up to speed in this time and understand, having done that, being able to hit the ground running, if you will, from a little bit of understanding about what board service is. Though I think more people have been involved in our board in the last couple of years, so they probably get a pretty good feel, but on some level of that. And then I definitely, I have a hard time looking at someone's compelling reason, because I feel like if I was going on a scale of 1 to 3, I'd give everybody a 5, because there's always some, this is what the teachers are born to teach, and if you're just into school, but the skills we need, I definitely look at that from the skill set of what we're trying to fill now, and knowing the skill set that will be departing from the board in the fall, like how to have that diverse experience. And I'm sort of the unicorn that some people think I have education, I've got business, and it's yes and to those, but having that complementary experience and different industries, careers, and things like that played into it. So I guess so of these people, Val, do you want to run through maybe who our let's do our top 5 or 6?
Sure. Yep, I was actually just going through and coding those.
Okay.
So, we have a group.
And it doesn't need to be in any order, but just who they are, I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I can do 1, 2. These are the people that got 3 or 4 votes.
Okay.
Christopher Mashad, Jackie Nickel, Jose Reyna, Daniel Vandermolen, Sulari White.
Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3. So those are 5. Are we good with having all those people come in on Thursday and getting to know them a little bit more? Good?
Yes.
Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now, because we love to hang out together, if we wanted to spend some time with 2 or 3 more people, who do you have on there? And then we'll see what we think we should do. Is that good? Yep.
From initial responses, we have 3 that got 2 votes. Nadeem Hamid, Lily Langen, and Steve Petros.
Steve Petros. Okay.
If you add Maggie's kind of second round of favorites,
Yeah.
Michelle Schellenberg would then get 2 votes as well.
Okay, so Lily, Michelle, Hadim, and Steve. So of this group, is there, of all 27, so that would be the top initial review. I guess I'm going to pause there and see, is there anybody we need to, I didn't ask you, do you have an opinion, or do you have to listen? Do you get to say? I didn't ask that part
no,
before.
I am not. I am
wanted-
not a elected member
Okay,
of
just
the
wanna make
board,
sure.
and I serve at the board's pleasure.
Okay.
And I'm just here if you need any advice or
Okay.
support. But I think you guys are doing
Good.
swimmingly well as
Okay.
we move along in this process.
Excellent. Okay, just want to make sure. I kind of remembered that from before.
So for clarification, Nadeem, Lily, and Michelle all have 2 votes if we consider additional interest.
And
Yeah.
Steve Petros.
And Steve.
Okay,
Petros. Yeah,
yep.
yes.
Okay. Okay, so that is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I guess with this, what do you guys want to do here? What are some of your thoughts from what you see so far, Mary?
I would just interview all of them.
Okay? Good?
Yeah, I just think I just think it's too hard to say
Yeah.
not to when
Yeah.
we have such limited information on them.
Yep.
So I think a 30-minute conversation with them would be doing this justice.
Perfect. Val, could you read back all the names to make sure that we're good with this?
Yes. Ashad, Nickel, Rania, Vandermolen, White, Hamid, Langen, Petros, and Schellenberg.
Okay. All righty. So with that, then I think what we need to do is just understand that what will happen next is Val is drafting up, I got here a little bit early, she was drafting up a message to send out to all of the candidates on two fronts. One is to work out the logistics of coming Thursday, which will be fun. We'll get to meet all these people. The interview slots will be 30 minutes, so we'll try to keep it to 20 to 25 so we can somewhat keep on schedule and respect of the next person's time with a little gap in the middle for catch up. And then ultimately, at the end of that, we will debrief on the questions and the responses to that and be able to land on someone who's going to join the team and communicate that out.
And I would just add, although rare, it sometimes can happen. I always say to folks, this is a two-way interview process.
Right.
We want the candidate to also look at this potential entity that they might be invited to join. And sometimes you can have things as people take a little bit more time and a little bit more consideration where they may look and say, oh, you know what, I'm going to back out. Sometimes you make an offer to somebody and it becomes real in their mind, and then they'll say, let me think more about this. So that's why we've got some extra time budgeted into this, meaning additional days on that. And, I think it's just helpful to go through all of that and just understand all those different possibilities on that as well as you go through. And I think that's good time allotment that you have. Invariably, what happens in these situations is you can think, boy, I'd like to know more or ask more. What I like about the appointment process is it's different than an election. An election oftentimes, especially with a crowded ballot, you've got state appeal court judges and other people that people say, gosh, I really don't know much of anything at all about individuals here. In the election process, you actually have a little bit less information, and here you can gain some more information about the candidates. I think also your statements about wanting to have a broad-based skill set that brings in perspectives from many places is very helpful. One thing we sometimes forget, I don't know that we'll find many other school districts our size with 3 different K-12 attendance areas. That's a unique feature of our district. But when you put all those together, it's a large system. We are larger than 95% of the school districts in Michigan. And so it's, again, just thinking about the representation of a large and diverse community is an important element in this as well. And then the other thing I would just put in, and I hear this from board members throughout my time here, and that is the focus on doing what's best for kids. And that focus on students all the time, I think serves us well. As we can see, it sometimes is easier said than done, as different people have different ideas of what is best in a given situation where there isn't always an obvious response on certain situations. As I think about the evolution of a pandemic that nobody's seen in over a century, there's an example of, geez, how do you navigate through all of these pieces and unknowns and the like? But I would just put that plug in there that what I see from all of you and I've seen from our board members over the years is that focus on kids. And what's amazing is our board members are chosen from the community in large part. We have a piece here where we're following statute that says, hey, for this roughly, 8 or 9 month period, this is a situation where the members here have to make that appointment. But I think your your processing on this and that focus on that broad-based skill set, experiences with the district. We've often looked at this from many different angles on that broad-based piece. You can look at skill sets that people have had in life. You can look also through the lens of, hey, who's got kids in school currently, and maybe who has kids who've moved forward and on into graduation or adult life. Those are valuable perspectives as well, because you can sort of see how does the system serve us or serve students after they graduate. And even looking at where people are with children in the system. Are they younger, elementary, all those pieces? So there's a lens you can look at. Again, you can look at this through multiple different lenses, and I think you've brought up many of those criteria here, so that's helpful.
Good. All right. So the other piece of this is what's really awesome is we have 27 names of people that love our school district. So we will be able to make sure that we follow up with all these people, and one way or another, they are, I don't know if we want to give them to Paul Doyle, but we will make sure that we follow up with all of these people and that their passions and interests are supported through the district overall.
Yeah.
So this is not a thank you very much. This is,
Right.
oh, and now what's next? Is
There are
more
many
how I'm
ways to
looking
serve,
at it.
absolutely, and we've seen that over the years. I say to my superintendent colleagues, what makes Forest Hill special? I say it's really that incredible, generous gift of time and talent from the members of our community that comes in so many different ways. So that's a wonderful aspect to all this, and you can see that expressed in these letters of interest, certainly.
And
Any
as we-
other things? Yes, go
As
ahead.
we talk about notifying candidates, if we could all be so kind as to keep it to ourselves and not be putting this on social media and allow our team to go ahead and let them know the proper way, that would be really nice. So
Yeah.
thank you to all for that.
That's a good point.
Yeah, because I don't think we've all done it quite so. We've never had to do this before, actually. Yeah. Yep. So Val is going to follow up with everybody with the next steps, and then we will not be here. We are going to be at the Fine Arts Center on Thursday in the community room at 4 p.m. will be the first interview. And I believe that also, this will be shared from Val, but I believe the way we're going to do that is we would not have everybody come and sit there through all of that. Like the idea is candidates will come, somebody will come in and do their interview, and then they could depart, and then another candidate will come. We'll have the logistics all set up for that.
Yes, it again will be an open meeting on that, but
Right.
the thinking is a best practice we would ask the candidates to help us observe is that they come in for their interview. It would create somewhat of a stilted field a little bit if the person who had the last interview sat through the first several interviews on that. They have a different advantage on that than someone who starts first on that. So that would just be the practice on that piece
Yeah,
of it.
so it will be an open meeting, so the community is able to come and observe all of these. But know that it's not a secret. We'll have same questions. Everybody, it will be the same experience for each of the participants that come through. So, and then the follow-up is there's all kinds of documentation that Val is keeping track of how we made our decision, all the banter she had to keep track of. So that will all be out there on how we made our decisions. So with that, is there any other board communication that we want to share today from anyone? All right. And then Dan does have one other thing that he wanted to
Just
mention here.
a simple
yes.
thanks to Val for all of her work on this. It's a lot of processing and collating and checking for the eligibility requirements set out in law and all of those pieces. So thanks to Val for all the additional time. Thanks to the members of the board for this additional time this week. It seems like every week's a busy time, but appreciate all of your work. And thanks to our community as well. Thank you for 27 community members that on short notice said, yes, I'm willing to serve. I always say to students and others, I think a key to happiness is serving others, and it's great to see that we have so many people that are willing and able and excited to serve. So we look forward. And as you said, Madam President, there are many different ways to serve throughout our school district too.
Okay. All right, with that, I think if there's no other communications, I need a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn this meeting.
And do I have a second?
Second?
All right, we are adjourned. All right.